welcome, wonderful viewers, to this episode of the Psychologist on YouTube. My name is Ulurunke, and I trust you've been having a beautiful day. Always remember that you have to keep yourself safe. Today, I will be talking about some of the psychological impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on females. In the past couple of months since this pandemic began, women have not had an easy time of it. Why? Let's start from the fears about getting infected with the coronavirus, the anxiety, COVID-19 anxieties. Immediately the first case of the virus announced in Nigeria, in Lagos, parents, especially the mothers, became preoccupied with the anxieties over the infection. People became wary of known and unknown people infecting them directly and indirectly, or probably infecting their family members. They became fearful of going to work, of being in close proximity with others in shared offices or vehicles. Hence, a call to stay indoors began, and before the eventual lockdown. Females have always been known to be mostly the nurturing partner or parent or guardian in homes or relationships. And women are experiencing fears. They were experiencing fears which surrounded keeping their family members safe within the cocoon of the home and out of harm's way. If any member of the family attempted to leave the cocoon to run a short errand, for instance, outdoors, there was trouble, as you see the mother, wife, or the female partner palpitating about a possibility of contacting someone who is infected or who has been infected with the virus, and the family member bringing this virus back home. These concerns were real and caused a lot of tension and anxieties, resulting in over involvement in the lives of their partners and children, and consequently leading to hostility or critical comments from all sides. Secondly, spousal relationship and conflicts came into being, or was more pronounced. For married females or those in a committed relationship, for instance, there have been reported cases of difficulties being cooped 24 hours, 7 days a week together with with their partners during this lockdown period of the COVID-19 pandemic. For a couple who prior this pandemic only saw each other for a few hours and didn't have to plan and carry out various activities together 24/7, was probably rosy for them. But with the total lockdown and even with the gradual easing now we are experiencing, there have been reported cases of recurrent conflicts related to intolerance, irritable moods, boredom, dissatisfaction, frustration, anxieties, depression on both sides. Okay, this led to some females having homicidal and suicidal thoughts, and yes, some actually completed this act. More so, due to the lack of the recreational activities, we all know the cinemas, outdoor restaurants, and all outdoor games and outdoor activities and stuff. Most females had to deal with the frequent sexual demands from their husbands or their partners, with some females actually complaining about this, that it was too frequent for them, and it led to issues of domestic violence, verbal and emotional abuse, or even sexual abuses. We have found that some of those issues possibly originated from a possible lack of close or insufficient friendship ties before or during courtship. And a lot of couples just got married because of attractiveness and they felt towards each other and other areas of compatibility on their marriage checklist. Hence, what had been a manageable companionship level prior COVID-19 disintegrated. Thirdly, home and child care. We all are aware that pre-COVID-19, we had the schools, we had nannies, house managers to care for our homes and our family. But with the lockdown, everyone had to stay back home with their family members. Women who were mostly career oriented would have had a very hard time transitioning to a full housewife role, caring for the husband, or the children, the home and even other extended family members who happen to be locked down in the home with them. And there will be a sense of being overwhelmed, dissatisfied, and frustrated that this wasn't how they had envisioned their lives or had their own life planned. There could be possibility of those women experiencing some anxieties and depression if there isn't emotional, physical, and moral support from their husbands during this time. There are also women who are affected in terms of their career. For those whose jobs involved their physical presence in the execution of the job and eventual payment per hour on the job. For instance, let's say the litigation lawyers, private teachers, staff at recreational centers like the cinemas, boutiques, malls, and so on. Their jobs were majorly impacted. Their various procedures were put up during this period because even their physical presence was prohibited. And for those who were all about work, aka workaholic women, these women who were perceived as strong and always wanted to be actively on the job, working even into the wee hours of the night without rest, when they should have been resting in preparation for another day. When this pattern of work eventually changed for them during this lockdown and they had to stay back home, it felt out of the norm for them and was extremely unpleasant for some who never expected such an event ever happening to them. So this unwanted option of not working at all for most women in this category had led to a state of physical illness for some. Let's say some actually indicated that, oh, they started having malaria, typhoid, and all because they were not allowed to work. The pandemic would have also impacted the finances of those women working in organizations that subscribe to the options of pay cuts or who had not been paid a dime since they collected their January salaries. Not to talk of those who got retrenched because their organization could not afford to keep them. This was unfortunate. These women who were previously financially independent now had to start spending their nest egg that they were saving for rainy days. And subsequently, after spending these nest eggs, they became dependent on others to make ends meet. All these were unexpected and have their psychological ramifications. This can be traced to the irritable moods you see in some people, and some are frustrated, anxieties about paying bills, and symptoms of depression such as hopelessness, helplessness, low mood, among others, was actually presented in some people. We also know that as a woman, not having your own finances can limit your plans, breeding that feeling of dissatisfaction and provocation at the slightest fault of anyone around you. In addition, you will begin to feel inept because your skills and services had not been efficiently utilized in this past couple of months, and there was no challenge for you mentally in terms of acquisition and execution of new assignments. And the fifth one now is talking about religion. Religion has been found to be therapeutic, especially for females who find solace in the words of hope preached at our places of worship. It has been found to be a buffer for women who are feeling depressed or who are psychologically distressed. Therefore, to be suddenly cut off from these sources of reassurance, faith, and hope threw a lot of people, a lot of women, into that turmoil of uncertainties, anxieties, and depression caused by some of those previous factors I have listed earlier. And a lot of females were terribly affected. So due to this unfortunate psychological issues, some women will actually turn to the use of poor coping mechanisms to deal with their feelings of anxiety, of uncertainties, frustration, unhappiness, hopelessness, helplessness, and so on. So these poor coping mechanisms include drinking of alcohol excessively, intake of other psychoactive substances, just to be able to erase the memories of unpleasant events occurring at home or to feel good for that period, forgetting that the internal conflict resulting from these issues will actually remain when the effect of these psychoactive substances as one off. Okay, and if those issues were not properly managed. So, how can we manage all of those things? How can we resolve those problems? So, with all those factors, I always tell my clients that in all situations, you must be able to identify which is within your locus of control and which isn't. Okay, and for those within your locus of control, try to highlight solutions that you can present to yourself, that you can make available to yourself to douse the tension and the anxieties. Presently, most women do not have the opportunity to have a time out for themselves with a wife and mother role or partner role to play. You have, however, need to create a me time. What hobbies do you enjoy as a woman? Listening to music, reading a novel, sleeping through a magazine with a moderate glass of wine or soda? This me time ensures that you don't compromise your own health, even while playing your role as a partner, a wife, or a mother. Secondly, in terms of marital relations, do you understand who you are or who you have become over the years? Since the last time you did a self evaluation, there might have been some changes, either good and not so good. Okay, this might have made an impact on the way you discuss or you relate with your partner. Do you tend to get irritable and provoked easily compared to the way you were before? Or are you withdrawn emotionally and unreachable by your partner? Is there a pattern or strategy you engage in to solve problems right now, which escalates what should have been settled amicably between you and your partner? So you need to do this self-reflection because this might be the insight or the understanding you need to manage whatever situation keeps cropping up between you and your partner during this lockdown. Okay, you should also have it in mind that despite your several years of marriage, you're still two personalities from different backgrounds who came together to build a home. So once you see the behavioral changes in you, you can then subtly encourage him to do a self evaluation to in terms of your relationship so that both of you, two individuals, are both strengthened. You strengthen each other to work hand in hand to resolve issues that keep popping up in your marriage. This can also be nourished post COVID 19. Thirdly, like I said at the point of this video, you have to understand that there are situations that could be beyond your control. So, this situation could be the job issue at this time where organizations are letting people go, have given a reduced salary, given pay cuts, and all that. Consequently, your focus should be on how to manage the thoughts and feelings that are accompanying all these changes in your life. As a result, what can you control? First, accept that the circumstances surrounding your career presently are not the best and not within your power to change. So, while you await normal work procedures, you may concentrate on brushing up your work skills with courses online from all these popular online universities that render short courses or other study apps such as Coursera, Tube Study, Udemy. These are my favorite channels. Okay, you may also decide to have interest in other skills not related to your profession. So there are various methods of accomplishing this within the comfort of your home during the lockdown. You can access channels on YouTube also or Instagram to acquire the skills. It gives you a sense of control over the direction your life is taking, even during this pandemic and possibly post the COVID-19. Fourthly, in terms of religion, with this pandemic, we have discovered worldwide that our physical presence within the structured housing our places of worship, be it a church, a mosque, or whatever religion we practice, does not stop us from actually receiving grace, especially with a trend of online services most of those religious houses considered during this pandemic. Therefore, we got to know that the buffering effect, the reassurance, the hope, the faith we look forward to when we attend our religious houses can be received anywhere we are. These, I'm sure, would have given a lot of people that sense of spiritual satisfaction. You may also decide to create a new you by engaging in exercises, changing your diet, or meditations, if those are your preferences, like I always say. Lastly, if you feel the situation is beyond what you can control, especially for those who began taking psychoactive substances in this period of lockdown, just to be able to cope with issues, though coping poorly, then you need to ensure you give a call to your clinical psychologist for expert management. If referrals need to be made to other professionals, surely your clinical psychologist will make appropriate recommendations. All right. So the world is changing, it's rapidly changing from what we are accustomed to as a woman, and both in our personal and professional conduct. All right. Consequently, we need to be ready to change with the times. This, my lady, you can control and you can roll with. Don't get left behind, ladies. So, in summary, today I've talked about some of the psychological effects of the COVID-19 on females. This stemmed from their difficulties in coping with the outcome of staying at home, to care for the home, to meet the daily demands of their partners or spouses, their career concerns, and their religious backbones. This stress in adequately navigating difficulties in these areas have led to uncertainties, anxieties, frustration, unhappiness, hopelessness, helplessness, depression, etc. In addition, the management of those psychological effects were also emphasized in the video. Thank you so much, viewers, for watching this episode packaged for our wives, our mothers, and sisters out there. If you have questions, do not hesitate to drop them in the comment box below, and reach out to me on my Instagram and Twitter accounts at Psychologist. I look forward to always receiving your questions and your comments about my videos and about psychological issues affecting you. Kindly encourage us by giving us a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel to ensure that we keep enjoying episodes discussing various issues as they affect our psychological well-being. You can also share my videos with your loved ones. Thank you once again for viewing, and much love from your Psychologist.